Now, as the chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, it's Robert Menendez of New Jersey, a Democrat. Senator Menendez, welcome back to Meet the Press. And let me start.
Good to be with you.
Let me start with some news this morning out of the UK and their intelligence, which seems to indicate that Vladimir Putin may use May 9th, Russia's celebration of World War II Victory Day, as a chance to officially declare war against Ukraine. Is that a distinction without a difference as far as you're concerned? And what should the U.S. response be to that declaration?
Well, Putin has declared war against Ukraine. Whether he does it formally or not is inconsequential. I think that what we are doing and what we will continue to do is help Ukraine ultimately have victory and defeat Russia. Ukraine is a test for the West. It's a test for the international order. Can one country, in this case Russia under Putin, erase the borders of Europe, change a country by force, or will the international order prevail? And I think that's what's at stake here, regardless of Putin's declarations.
When Secretary Austin did a debrief after his visit to Kyiv, he said something earlier this week about our goals now with Russia. We want to see Russia weakened to the degree that it can't do the kinds of things that it has done in invading Ukraine. In response to that, the Russians essentially said, well, the Americans are fighting a proxy war against Russia and Ukraine. Isn't the answer to that yes? That in that sense, yes, this is a proxy war between the West and Russia. Is that it? Do you accept that description?
No, not necessarily. Look, I'm not sure what was in Secretary Austin's mind, but I think what he meant is that if Russia cannot defeat Ukraine with a much larger army, with greater sophisticated weaponry, and a much vaunted military, then it has to think about creating acts of aggression against any other country in Europe or any place else. And that certainly is degrading Russia's ability or in thoughts about their ability to do so. I would think that that's what the secretary meant. But at the end of the day, yes, we don't want to see Russia go into Moldova. We don't want to go see into a NATO country in Poland or Lithuania or any other such country. So in that respect, I think that's what the secretary meant.
Should the U.S. posture change at all in how much we get involved if this expands into Moldova?
Well, look, I think that the Ukrainians care about what's going to happen in Transnistria because it's another attack point against Ukraine. But it's not going to, I don't think that's going to change our calculus about our direct engagement. We need to keep our eye on the ball, and that is about helping Ukrainians ultimately be able to defeat the butcher of Moscow. And if we do that, the world will be safer, the international order will be preserved, and others who are looking at what is happening in Ukraine will have to think twice. And this international response that President Biden has led, and this new effort by Europe to have an oil embargo, a gas and oil embargo against Russia, is going to be one of the most strategic blunders Putin will have made for his country, and shows the resolve of the West, something we have not seen in the past.
$50 billion, Senator Menendez, is what essentially the president's asked for in total allocation. You put the two numbers together, nearly $50 billion. This appears to be the most money we've ever spent on a war that we've not fired a shot in, the United States. Is there a limit in how much support we're going to give Ukraine for this? Or as long as we think they can win this war, we'll do what it takes?
I think we will do what it takes to see Ukraine win, because it is not just about Ukraine, it is about the international order. If Ukraine does not win, if Putin can ultimately not only succeed in the Donbass, but then be emboldened maybe to go further, if he strikes a country under NATO, under our treaty obligations with NATO, then we would be directly engaged. And so stopping Russia from getting to that point is critically of interest to us as well as the world, so that we don't have to send our sons and daughters into battle. And I think that that ability not to have to send our sons and daughters into battle is priceless.
I know many officials answer the following questions by saying it's up to Ukraine. What they decide is victory here. But what do you believe is Ukrainian victory? What does Ukrainian victory look like to you, sir?
Well, the reason many officials answer that way to you, Chuck, is because it's Ukraine that must determine what it will or will not accept to end this war. After such horrific human rights violations, war crimes that Putin has committed against the Ukrainian people, it's hard to understand what President Zelensky and the Ukrainian people will accept. Maybe there will be some territorial concession, maybe. But it cannot be in a way that ultimately blocks Ukraine from seaports and having access to the sea, which is going to be vital for commerce as well as national security. But it's the horrific acts that Putin has committed, the war crimes that he has committed, that gives Ukraine very little room to think about what is peace here.
Quick question about immigration. I'm going to have Secretary Mayorkas on in a moment. Many of your Democratic colleagues are not happy with the decision to rescind Title 42 with what they believe is not an adequate enough plan. You obviously would like to see Title 42 ended. I know that. But at the same time, you've questioned whether we have the resources or the commitment to do this. What is the best way to handle this situation? What do you tell your Democratic colleagues that would like to keep Title 42 in place for now?
Well, I'll tell you, Chuck, what I told them at our caucus last week. Title 42 is not the solution. It's part of the problem. Who wants to control the border would permit a provision that allows countless numbers of times that an individual can try to cross the border. That's what Title 42 does. There's no permanent adjudication of those who have a right under asylum and those who do not have a right, and then would have a order of deportation, and if they try to come back, there would be criminal penalties for it. That would stop it. There needs to be a comprehensive immigration plan. Our Republican colleagues, however, they want the issue. They don't want a solution.
Senator Robert Menendez, Democrat of New Jersey, chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. I know Ukraine is taking up a lion's share of your focus. I appreciate you coming on and sharing your perspective with us, sir.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.